Anyone looking? Hi, how you doing? Great to hear it. My name is Paul Murphy. That was it, really? Just let's say that. And I've been doing some poetry readings this afternoon, and they've not gone very well at all, because I wanted to get them all perfectly lyrical and everything. My handwritten lyrics, the long lost file of But the Disease. You heard my voice stumble then. Motor neurological disease, and my jaw was seizing up. It was so frustrating trying to read these delicate words of love and social injustice and everything. And you get all this way. Again, all you people that keep writing in saying you keep pausing. Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm telling you now, I have motor neuron disease and I have speech difficulties. So if you can't stick with it, please go see someone else's video. I don't want to waste your life, okay? But anyway, it got so frustrating doing that I thought I'd go and read some of... I wanted cheering up because it's been a garbage day. And no, don't turn off yet. It might get better than that. So I thought I'd read one of my comedy books, because my comedy books tend to cheer me up a little bit. Mainly because and this is A Christmas Carol. No, not that one, a different one. And I haven't looked back on this for about a year. I'm just going to pick up... I'm trying to find the start of a chapter here. Anyway, bear with me a second. Okay, so we're starting on stave 4. So I'm just going to read this to myself, and if you want to hang in there with me, that'd be great stuff. I love your company. I'm sliding down for Christmas. Oh, man. Right, stave 4, in which Mr. Evan Geezer Scrooge is visited by the ghost of Christmas past. Oh God knows what to say. Can you read that? What does that say? A dressage, a message, a voyage? I don't know, a hernia, one of the two. So, the room was empty, except for furniture, fixtures, fittings, utensil, Scrooge. In fact, the room was as full as it was, except for one apparition and fresh air. Scrooge sat down and pondered. Then he stood up and pondered to save on wear and tear. He closed his eyes but to blink, and when they reopened, he was in his bed. He rubbed his eyes, 2 up top, 1 down below. There was nothing to indicate he had been anywhere but in bed this whole time, save for a full chamber pot. Bah, humbug, he snorted. He paused and thought, although why he couldn't have done both at the same time is a mystery. No, I prefer it my way, he muttered and snorted. Ha, bumhug instead. 'Twas naught but a dream, he said to himself. Are you sure? He asked himself. What other explanation could there be? He replied to himself by means of another explanation. Let me think, he answered himself, but nothing came to mind. Nothing has come to mind, he informed himself. So, are we settled on the dream then? He queried himself. We are, he agreed with himself, and settled back down into his lonesome bed, pulling his thin, threadbare blanket over his thin, threadbare body, and making a mental note not to eat cheese before he went to bed ever again, unless they dropped the price. If he was going to have such hallucinations, then LSD was still 2p cheaper. I should just point out that I believe that in the end of the last chapter, he's been visited by, I don't know, if this is Christmas... Oh no, he's just been visited by Jacob Marley in this book known as Jacob Murphy. I'll give you a little aside here. James Bond from Russia with Love is on, and Daniela Bianchi was one of my first crushes, and still is now, really. I hope she had a great life. Where do we get to? We get to page 68. Scrooge, blah, 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 blah. He thought back on his experience. First he had taken the paper off, then he cut it into cubes, then he had eaten it 1 cube at a time until it was all gone. Then he thought back on his other, non-cheese experience, and shuddered at the thought of the hideousness of what he had encountered. An unprepaid farthing, he grimaced, and pulled the blanket up to his chin. You can go now, Chin, he said to him. It's warm enough. Can't you get a bloody hot water bottle? Scrooge heard being said under breath as the door closed. Scrooge lay on his side to save wear and tear, and cast his mind back although it was only 5 minutes to go, so we might not have bothered. It was a shorter cast than a non-white production of Othello performed by MPs for charity. Bit of politics there. My name's Ben Elton. I was funny for 15 minutes in 1989. That was a bit unkind. 12 minutes. Where do we get to? Jacob, oh yes, sorry, Jacob Murphy coming to his mind after all these years and dressed like a punk rocker on steroids. And with a strange tale telling too of ghost times 3 and of hints of retribution. Thank you. Join the queue. Someone out there got a horn on his car for Christmas. I got one in my car for Christmas. Where do we get to? And with strange tales telling too of ghost times 3. I'm getting lamb drum and hints of retribution. What could it mean? Exclamation mark. He decided to look up in his italics Oxford Book of Ghostly Visitations and Birds of the British Empire, no dark ones, undo italics, compendium, full stop. I'm giving you the full book here. Pronunciation and marks and everything. Stupid disease. Let's get a bit more sensible. A bit more sensible reading one of the most surreal books there is. Right, where do we get to? I doubt if this will help, he mused, but turn nonetheless to page 198. Chapter 12, Possible Visitations for Ex-Business Partners called Jacob, focus on ones wearing chains and money boxes and banging on about imminent appearances by ghosts and ghouls. Oh, this is not going to help. Jacob never said anything about ghouls, he tutted, and threw the book away unread, like it was the new J.K. growling tome. It's called Author Envy. The silence was ominous. He whistled to himself quietly for comfort, pausing only to sue himself for copyright infringement. For all his bravado, he felt a sense of foreboding, and at full price too. I need to cheer myself up, he thought, and reached under his pillow. He pulled out a blank notepad that had "Where the F is Waldo" written on the front, and stared at the empty page 11. Can't think why this book never took off, he mused. Tuppence and your imagination. Lost you for 20 years. Unless you run out of toilet paper. I've gone into a strange voice. I don't know why. After a quarter of an hour, he threw the book down. I can't focus, he thought to himself. Oh, it took him half an hour to think it. He rummaged once again under his pillow and brought out a copy of Nuns of the World that had the title crossed out and "Where's Dildo" written over it. Ah, my favourite book, he mused. 6pence in your imagination lasts you for 5 minutes, unless you run out of toilet paper. After a quarter of an hour of bachelor exercise, he wiped the book down, closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. Okay, that'll do for this one here. If you come back to another video, and if I decide to make another one, it begins with the words, "First Ghost."